Hello, thanks for joining us. This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT. Here we keep you abreast with happenings from the National and State Houses of Assembly. I am Oyedia Orom. Now, concerns and reactions have continued to trail the recently passed and assented to Electoral Act. Well, some stakeholders have said that those who are not close to their governors may be affected with the expulsion of the indirect primaries as a mode of election among political parties. Now, let's bring you this report about political parties and their mode of primaries.
Nigeria's latest electoral roadmap is officially active, but it comes with a twist that could leave many office seekers at the mercy of powerful governors. When the National Assembly began overhauling the 2022 Electoral Act, the goal was simply about fixing the loopholes that marred the 2023 polls. It provides in clear terms that a political party seeking to nominate candidates for elections under this bill shall hold primaries for aspirants to all elective positions, which shall be monitored by the Commission. The procedure for the nomination of candidates by political parties for the various elective positions shall be by direct primaries or consensus. These basically mandate that parties nominate candidates through only two paths: direct primaries or consensus. The popular indirect primary option and the delegates that come with it is officially dead.
It is not possible to stifle the door to democracy, the window to democracy. It is about participation, it's about choice, it's about inclusion. So anything done, whether deliberately or otherwise, to shut doors against a few other participants, there is no longer, our democracy is injured. So this is what we are saying. Because those who reviewed this thing and made it the way it is, they have not really convinced anybody why why are you pulling out these things? They have worked for us, they are working for us. We have other salient issues, okay, constitutional and issues that should be addressed. With wonderful recommendations that we made into the National Assembly, none of these things saw the light of the day. And the ones that are fine, we have gone to review them in a way that will not be favorable to democratic practices.
For lawmakers, this is a double-edged sword. A direct primary requires massive, expensive mobilization across every ward. Despite the talk of mobilization and revalidation of party membership, analysts say the official register of most political parties is questionable and only accessible to a few. This leaves the consensus route as a likely path, a path controlled entirely by party leaders.
The idea of removal of indirect primaries, it is also injurious. We are trying to reduce costs in our electoral system, in our polity. So now you are making it compulsory that we either adopt the system that will compel participants or actors to bid to agree with one individual, okay, or you have to go and spend more money.
In Nigeria's political DNA, the president leads at the center and governors lead in the states. By removing delegates from the equation, every aspirant's fate now rests on the whim of their governor. History seems to be repeating itself. In 2022, the National Assembly stripped themselves of automatic delegate status, which barred political appointees and National Assembly members of standing as delegates or superdelegates. Now, the delegate system, which also used to be hotly lobbied due to the huge financial benefits delegates enjoy from aspirants seeking their votes, has been deleted entirely.
So it was the Electoral Act that created those options in the first place. And why is that important for us to understand? Is that if you did not create those options and you went ahead outside of the options recognized under the Electoral Act and you did something else, you would not have complied with the provisions of the Electoral Act regarding nomination of candidates. So let's understand that. The indirect primaries was because there was an act that provided for it and said it recognizes it as a method or medium or means by which you can nominate candidates. Now another electoral act comes, and people have the view that no, remove these indirect primaries because it has acted in an lack of a better phrase, an untoward way of nominating candidates. So let's give power back to the party members. Because what direct party primary means is that all party members are eligible to vote.
Whether in the ruling party or the opposition, the power to anoint has never been more concentrated at the top. The coming months will reveal if these lawmakers have paved a new road for democracy or if they have simply built a cage for their own ambitions and accidentally legislate their own downfall.
Now, while concerns continue to trail the Electoral Act as passed by the National Assembly and assented to by President Bola Tinubu, we caught up with a senator representing Jigawa North West, Senator Babangida Hussaini, who speaks on why the National Assembly expunged the issue of indirect primary as a mode of election by political parties. Take a listen. Now, there are lots of questions from Nigerians who are wondering why the National Assembly would have expunged the indirect primaries as a mode for elections among political parties. Why so?
Well, thank you very much once again for having me, and I think I'll be quite direct with you on this. As we mature politically, our democracy is gradually deepening. It is important for us to take away some anti-democratic practices, one of which is the idea of exclusion. When you exclude all the party members and select only a few who determine the candidate who will fly the flag of the party, then of course you are like creating a barrier. So we are expanding the political space to accommodate every card-carrying member of the party to participate in the process. And that's just the reason behind it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Is it because of the cost of it? Because a lot of people will say, what if I'm competent? I want to vie for a position, but I'm not in good terms or in the good books of the governor. It means that I'm left behind. What do you say to this kind of people?
Well, that is in the realm of speculation. The intendment of that provision principally is to expand the political space, to bring in all the party members to participate in the democratic process. That's just it. The speculation and the permutations here and there as to why it is so, why it is not so, I think should be left in the realm of speculation, and that's just it. But fundamentally, the intendment of that provision is to expand the political space and to give everybody the opportunity to participate in the process of selecting, electing candidates who will fly the flag of the party. That's just it.
What's your take on the issue of transmission? Because that a bit generated a lot of controversy, although it has been passed by the national, of course, assented to. But a lot of Nigerians wanted the president to still revisit, or even the national revisit some of the clauses that have been passed when it comes to the issue of transmission of election results. Well, what's your take on that?
Well, sadly, we tend to negate the principles of sincerity and openness when it comes to governance issues. Now, the 2022 Electoral Act provided for electronic transmission of results. That has been maintained in the 2026 Act. The only caveat or the only addition is that where electronic transmission is not possible, is not feasible, then Form EC8A will suffice. That's manual transmission of the result. I think there is really no harm in that.
Don't you think that gives room for discretion for a lot of returning
I want to speak to this. The constituency I represent 12 local government areas of Jigawa Northwest. Out of the 12 local government areas, I can tell you about 5 or 6 of the local government areas have very poor GSM network. I hear the suggestions about introducing Starlink internet access devices and all of that. But then ask yourself, can we really afford it? The truth is we can't. And then how many devices can we deploy? I'm just talking about just a part of Nigeria. I'm not talking about the southern part of Nigeria, the creeks, the riverine areas that don't even have access to the GSM network. Are you going to deny them the opportunity to elect their leaders? No. But still embedded in the 2026 Act is the provision from the 2022 Act. We can transmit electronically, but where that is not feasible, we can transmit manually. I don't see any problem in this.
Let's talk a bit about what happened on the floor before the National Assembly went on recess, the issue of a senator losing his seat when he defects to another party. There have been cases where there have been other senators who defected to the ruling party. I don't think the ruling party actually raised any eyebrow, but when it comes to those who are migrating to the minority parties, it became an issue.
There is a condition precedent before you can defect. And the condition constitutionally is where there are divisions within your party or where there are factions within your party. That is the condition precedent. If it is established that yes, there are differences, there are issues in your party, you are free to defect. Where there are no issues, then definitely you have no reason not to defect.
Does it apply to everyone?
Yeah, everyone.
Because when the late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah defected, there was no issue in the YPP.
There was.
In the YPP?
Yes, there was leadership issue in the YPP. Remember, he actually funded and established the YPP. There was. He was actually expelled from the YPP.
Senator Palm from Plateau State. There was an issue in his party.
It's the same scenario. It's the same scenario. You see, most of these differences are not reported nationally, and that's why sometimes it's not reported in the media, and then it's muted, and that's why when the issue of defection comes up and then issues are made out of it. But the truth is, the condition the Constitution provided for defection is that there are factions or there are problems within your party, then you are free to defect. But the question I want to ask you is, the matter that has been raising issues was about the defection of a fellow colleague senator who defected, and the party had no issue. There was no leadership problem. There was no division within the party. But I leave that.
But his case is a case of, it's not crisis. But he was sacked from his party. And he doesn't have any choice than to embrace another party.
But the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution, does not provide for independent candidature. If you have no party, you have no platform.
But that's why you need to move to another party that will embrace you.
That is if there are issues in your former party. That was the issue. Fundamentally, the point is this. The Constitution provides that you have to have a party platform before you can contest for election in Nigeria. Settled matter.
But in this case, he's already in the Senate before he was sacked. So if you're in the Senate, apparently you just have to move to the next party.
No.
Not that you have to leave the Senate for it to recontest.
You have to have a platform. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
It's in the realm of law. But the truth is, you have to have a platform before you can move to another party. He has lost his platform. That's exactly what happened. But I'm not, involved in the controversy around it. But that's the position of the law. The Nigerian Constitution provided, 1999 as amended, provided that you must be a member of a political party before you can contest for election. So if you don't have any political party, then you have a platform to sit on.
All right. The thing is, before I let you go, just a few days ago, I saw that the police submitted a draft copy of what the state police should look like. Of course, the president have actually endorsed it, and it's now with the National Assembly. Yes. The Senate leader even came up and said that the National Assembly have also commenced work on it. What's your take on this? Would this really work?
Every institution of government that is established is for Nigerians to make it work or not to make it work. For me, I had initially resisted the temptation of establishing state police.
Why so?
For obvious reason. The reason is that the existing federal police is poorly funded, understaffed, poor welfare facilities, poor pension scheme. All of this put together will definitely affect the morale and the performance of the police force, as it were. So I would rather we invest more funds, resources, personnel, equipment, and then improve the welfare of the serving policemen. Maybe most of these problems will be addressed. But then the argument here is that, look, most of these problems that are bedeviled in Nigeria are unique and peculiar to every environment. So states or communities should be allowed to establish their own security apparatus to address the peculiarity of their security problem. And that is
But yeah, some
valid
states have
argument.
actually done that, like Ebonyi State, some other few states have come up
Oh
with
yes,
it.
oh
But we're
yes.
yet to see benefit from
Maybe
this.
because there is no legal instrument establishing them. Hopefully, by the time the bill is laid in the chamber and then the details come up, we can be able to, knock it around and ensure that the right framework is put in place for security management in Nigeria. For us, every effort that we can put to make our citizens safe, there is no sacrifice too much to make to actualize that.
But do you think funding is actually the problem we are facing now in terms of security? Because
Funding,
even in the budget, it has the largest chunk of it. Just recently, we heard what happened during Palm Sunday in Plateau State, where over 40 persons lost their lives. We saw what happened in Borno State as well. Is it just funding, or the security agencies are overwhelmed?
funding is the number one problem because without funding, you can't expand your staffing, you can't procure equipment, you can't provide welfare facilities for your staff. If you see the condition of the both police, military, and all the paramilitary agencies, if you see their living conditions, it's not good enough for us. Kudos to to this administration. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing so much to address such challenges. But the truth is, we have to look at the funding situation of our military institutions. They appeared before various committees of the Nigerian Senate, and the argument was that, okay, yes, there has been provisions in the budget, but the releases are so insufficient. I mean, just paltry releases, of course, paucity of funds and all of that. So, but the truth is, funding is the number one critical problem that we'll have to address if we want to address the problem of security in Nigeria. If they are adequately funded, they can be able to procure equipment, they can be able to train, they can be able to establish barracks, forward operation bases. At least look at most of the military equipment we see, the MRAPs, the APCs. We can do better. So I think it is a critical factor in by order of priority.
All right, distinguished. I know that this is a year of politicking, and there's still a major milestone that the National Assembly is yet to achieve, the issue of constitution amendment. And
Yeah.
seeing how the lawmakers will be busy this year trying to pull through primaries and eventually the main elections, which maybe in January, I'm sure the lawmakers will be busy. But constitution amendment, do you think it will suffer in this assembly?
No, I don't think so. You see, the key issue in constitutional amendment is the public hearing, which has been conducted at the zonal level, and maybe by the after our Easter break, Easter recess, on resumption, I believe that will be the number one priority of the National Assembly. Having said that, yes, of course, it's a busy year, politicking, party primaries, party conventions, and all of that. Yes, that is true. But lawmaking is a continuous exercise, it's a continuous process. So I believe while that is going on, the campaigning and the politicking is going on, still the National Assembly will be on its beat trying to accommodate this constitutional responsibility of amending the Constitution, because definitely the time has come for us to really tinker with the Constitution to address some of the emerging issues, especially issues dealing with the governance issues, institutional issues. We have just dealt with the tax reform bills that are in place. Is for us to make them work. So I think the next most important bills that will be considered are those that have been captured from the public hearing in the zones, and also both in Abuja and the other zones.
The image of the National Assembly seems to be of concern to Nigerians. Despite the work, lawmaking, oversight, Nigerians are saying that, oh, well, they're not doing anything. What can the lawmakers do differently, to project a better image, that Nigerians will embrace and say, oh, these are the people we elected to represent us?
I would rather not answer this question for obvious reason. I can't be speaking about myself, but I will only plead that Nigerians should give the National Assembly a chance. It's the foundation of democracy. The executive arm, of course, is more visible because they are responsible for implementing the laws, and they're also responsible for handling the matters that directly affect the common man. But lawmaking is the most important responsibility in a democracy. And of course, it is obvious over the years the National Assembly has been cast in a bad light. But then that's politics and that's democracy. Over time, we'll begin to appreciate the work of the National Assembly and what it does. And I believe we can be able to have a common understanding of what a lawmaker, his responsibilities are. Oftentimes, the bashing comes from a very poor understanding of what a member of the National Assembly should do or a legislature should do. A legislature is fundamentally a lawmaker and then oversight. There are three defined and clear responsibilities of any lawmaker: lawmaking, appropriation, and oversight. And I believe if you go through the Hansard and the record of the National Assembly, a lot has been done. But of course, because we are not directly involved in executing projects and all of that, our image is sometimes, or rather there is this mix-up. But I think as we mature politically as a nation, we'll begin to appreciate the legislature.
Distinguished Senator Babangida Hussaini, thank you so much for joining us on our program Inside the Parliament.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, the issue of security continues to dominate the country as many stakeholders find solutions to how these menaces can be tackled. Now, last week, President Bola Tinubu endorsed the issue of state police, with the Nigerian police have sent a draft copy on how the shape and framework of state police would take. It has been submitted to the Deputy Senate President, Senator Barau Jibril, in the National Assembly, and the Senate leader, Okpeyemi Bamidele, stressed that the National Assembly have commenced work on the state police bill. Let's bring you details of this and more.
Leader of the Senate and Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution, Okpeyemi Bamidele, disclosed this in a statement issued on Sunday, as he highlighted ongoing efforts to improve Nigeria's security architecture. Bamidele explained that lawmakers are focused on creating a framework that brings policing closer to the people, while putting firm checks in place to prevent abuse of power. He also pointed to growing collaboration between the National Assembly and President Bola Tinubu in tackling insecurity, noting that the current approach goes beyond conventional tactics to address deeper drivers of violence, including extremism and armed attacks. According to him, the president has thrown his weight behind the idea of decentralized policing as part of broader efforts to better protect lives, property, and public infrastructure across the country. At the heart of the proposal is the plan to shift some policing powers to states, a move Bamidele believes will improve response times and ensure security presence reaches even the most remote communities. He stressed that the National Assembly is treating the proposal with urgency. But beyond structure, he insists accountability will be key. Bamidele says the framework being developed will include safeguards to prevent political interference, strengthen justice delivery, discourage impunity, and protect citizens' fundamental rights. He describes the effort as part of a shared vision between the executive and legislature to build a safer and more responsible security system, adding that the final model will reflect global best practices. The conversation around state policing has gained traction in recent years, especially as Nigeria grapples with complex security challenges. Many stakeholders argue that a decentralized system tailored to Nigeria's federal structure could significantly improve protection at the grassroots. The Nigeria Police has submitted a detailed 75-page proposal to Deputy Senate President Jibrin Barau, providing lawmakers with a foundation for legislative action. Meanwhile, Nigeria's National Assembly has announced plans to reform the country's planning and budgeting system as part of efforts to position the nation toward achieving a $1 trillion economy. This was disclosed by Gboyega Isiaka, chairman of the House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development, during a press briefing at the National Assembly. Speaking on behalf of the Joint Committee of both the Senate and the House of Representatives, Isiaka revealed that preparations are underway for a high-level, two-day national policy dialogue. The initiative aims to address persistent gaps between national development plans and actual budget implementation, a challenge widely regarded as a major barrier to sustainable economic growth in Nigeria.
I think the important thing is for us to be more realistic in the assumptions that we make when we are putting together. And the essence of the forum like this is for us to come and test. For instance, we are talking about the plan for 26 to 30. One of the papers that we presented there, in this plan is the ideas and the assumptions behind that. So when we have those assumptions, we expect both yourself, who have experienced this in the housing sector, and some other people that have experienced this in another sector, and even the private sector that may have experienced this, to be able to challenge those assumptions, because it's all about that. Of course, the other one has to do with the implementation. There are also implementation challenges that will not make some of these things. So it's either the starting point in terms of assumption was wrong, or the implementation was wrong. Whichever is the case, it is still subject to us coming together and have a discussion about it.
Singapore moved from a third world country to a developing country to a developed nation till date in 1990, sorry. And he said this: we cannot afford to forget that public order, economic prosperity, personal progress, and development are not the natural order of things. They depend on ceaseless effort and attention from an effective and honest leaders that the people elect. End of quote. My chairman said, supposing we did not even have these plans in place, what would have become of Nigeria today? Supposing also, with the current situation in the Middle East, if Dangote refinery was not operational or is not operational, how much would we be buying fuel right now?
Well, that's a wrap on our program Inside the Parliament for this week. Do join us again next week for another package. And don't forget to join us on all our social media platforms for any edition you have missed on Inside the Parliament on AIT. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Oyedia Orom. Do have a great week ahead.